What if I told you there was a way you can make tens of thousands of dollars by flipping real estate without ever having to see the property or even be in the same state? Well, it's something I've done actually 10 times, and I'll tell you exactly how to do it in just 1 second. But first, why should you listen to me? My name is Brennan Wiersma. I'm an airline pilot. I got into a whole bunch of student debt when I went to school to learn to become a pilot. I got a high paying job, but now it's forced me to become hyper focused and expert level knowledge on my own personal finances. And I'm sharing the tips and tricks that have significantly helped me and maybe can help you. So if that's something that you're interested in, please feel free to watch the videos, this one and all the rest. If not, carry on. So what am I talking about? Real estate wholesaling. This is something that I didn't know was real or even allowed until how did I find out about real estate wholesaling? I was in the middle of flight training and everything just got paused. So there was an extended period of time where I was left to my own devices to figure out what to do with my time or career or whatever it was. And I decided that I wanted to drive around the nicest neighborhoods that I could find, knock on the doors and talk to the people that own those houses and ask them how they made their money. I read the book Think and Grow Rich. This was kind of the premise, combining the wealthiest minds and all these expert knowledge into a book and giving that information out about how to think and grow rich. And so I'll do that. And I'm going to turn it into a podcast. So I was knocking on $10 million houses, their doors, and talking to the owners, and it worked. I was able to do a few interviews. I created the Get Wealth podcast. I still do a few of those interviews here and there. It's a different channel, but one of the things that I learned was that the wealthiest people in the world invest in real estate. They're either connected to it somehow, they're buying it, they're flipping it, whatever it is. And there was one guy, I think it was the first one I talked to that told me about real estate wholesaling was Terry Summers. He's a Columbus, Ohio investor, and he's got tens of millions of dollars in real estate, cash flowing real estate. He does flipping, and he told me about this thing called wholesaling. And it blew my mind because wholesaling was a way that you could flip the property without having to lift a wrench and do a single thing to it. Where he was doing that, he was flipping properties for a profit, $10,000, $20,000, whatever, probably more, that when he would fix it and flip it and list it with a realtor and make a bunch of money. But there was this other way where all he would have to do is sell the rights to buy that property. So that's what real estate wholesaling is. So this is what turned the lights on for me and opened up a whole world of possibilities. And I became obsessed and I cold called like 5 hours a day. And my first 5 deals that I ever did were in Anderson, Indiana. So all the way, I was in Arizona and I did 5 deals in Indiana. So here's how it works. Step one is you're going to find somebody that wants to sell their property at a discount. So first thing you're going to do is, there's a lot of ways to do this. I'm going to tell you how I did it. You're going to pull a list of properties that have issues associated with them, whether that's their old houses, have liens against them and foreclosure. And you're going to get a big list of houses, preferably like over 1,000 houses. Then you're going to find a skip tracing software. There's a bunch of them online. Just Google it. The top one will pop up. Skip trace your list of houses. It's going to give you all of the phone numbers of the people that live inside the houses. So then you're going to get on a phone. You're going to call every single house and ask them if they want to sell their property or if they would consider an offer. Most of the time, you're going to get a billion no's. I did another video on the 10,000 phone calls and the things that you learn from it. But occasionally, someone's going to say, yeah, I'm interested. What's your offer? You're going to get the information, figure out what's wrong with it. And then you're going to figure out what is that property going to be worth if it was perfect, right? It's a piece of crap right now. What is that property going to be worth after you put in a whole renovation to it? From there, you're going to work backwards. You're going to figure out it could be worth this. How much work does it need? And what price can I offer them where there's enough money for me to still make a profit giving it to another investor? So there has to be enough margin there. You find a price that works. You send them over a purchase agreement. They sign that purchase agreement. Now you have a signed contract. You have a signed contract to buy that house at the price that is listed on the agreement. Now what you're going to do is you're going to have talked to all the investors in that area. You're going to have gone to real estate meetups. You're going to network with people online. You're going to join Facebook groups. You're going to call your family friends that you know are in real estate. You're going to talk to all the big realtors that are working with fix and flippers, and you're going to get a list of people that are interested in buying these type of houses. Then you are going to see if they want to buy your deal, and you're going to tell them what price they can buy it for. So let's say you got it under contract at 100,000. You're going to tell all these investors, hey, would you like to buy this house at $120,000? If it's a good deal, someone's going to say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can go ahead and buy this for 120, put 30 grand into it and sell this for 250. Yeah, I'm going to make a bunch of money. I don't care what you have it under contract for. Let's do it. So you're going to send them what's called an assignment agreement. So that's the second document. We have a purchase agreement, and now we have an assignment agreement. You take your purchase agreement with your seller, and then now you assign the rights to buy that property to this investor. So you send them over the assignment agreement, and that gets signed, usually via DocuSign. You have both of these signed copies, and now you're going to open title, and you're going to give both those two papers to a title company. And there's going to be a closing date that's listed on the purchase agreement. Usually you have a time period to go find this investor. It's called the due diligence period. The longer, the better for you. Now, you don't want to make this take 6 months for some tiny little single family house in Indiana. Like, you should be able to do this in a week if you have a good deal and you have a good network of buyers. So that's part of your value you're bringing, is a quick cash close. You're going to put these two pieces of paper with title. The closing date is going to come. The seller's going to show up to the title company or not. They can do remote closings. The investor is going to wire the money, the full 120. The title company is going to give the seller their $100,000. They're going to give you your $20,000, and the investor is going to get the house. Everybody's happy. Everybody makes money. And you have just created money out of thin air. Now, it sounds simple, but it's a lot of work to find a good deal. I mean, when I say you got to make 1,000 phone calls to maybe get one deal, that's on the low side. I think at the time, and it's only gotten harder since I was doing this, it was 100 phone calls for one lead, and it was about 100 leads per one signed contract. And I think out of all the contracts that I had signed, maybe 75% of those were to actually make it to the closing table. Deals would blow up. I'll tell you a quick story here. When I was cold calling property, vacant land or something in Washington State, Northern Washington, Pacific Northwest. And I got this smoking deal. It was a piece of vacant land. It's like an acre of land, probably less. The seller was highly motivated. This piece of property had a bunch of liens on it. There used to be a property there, and now this guy's just living in his trailer on the property, obviously needing to fix this situation somehow, clearly pushing things off. I came to him and I told him that I would buy his property for $60,000. Right. And I had figured out what to offer him because he had mentioned he was willing to sell, and I tried to figure out what I could offer him. I told him I'd call him back, and I did some market research, and I had found the exact same parcel of land down the road. Someone had bought for $90,000, and then they put a mobile home on it, and then they sold that mobile home for like 200 or something, and they made a really good profit on that. So obviously that person might be looking to do that again. So I put the property under contract for $60,000. I called up the owner of that piece of land using the same process that I found the seller, just skip tracing the piece of land and calling up the owner and saying, hey, I got this lot down the road. It's exactly like yours. Would you be interested in it for 90? And she said, yep, that's a great deal. Let's do it. I sent her over the assignment agreement like I was talking about. And with your new investors, you get what's called earnest money. So typically with the purchase agreement, you put down earnest money, meaning if I don't follow through with my end of the deal, you can take my money. For me, I would put down like 100, maybe $1,000 max, because that's really not the point. They're just looking for a quick close, 7 days. Usually I get my money back if I don't finish the deal because of my due diligence period. Obviously, there was some information I wasn't finding. That's all protected by my end in the contract. But when you're looking for a new buyer, you want them to put in earnest money so they don't just cancel on you at the last minute and then you lose the deal. So I had found this new buyer. She said it was good. I sent her the assignment agreement and she put in like $2,000 earnest money into title. So if she were to back out at this point, I would still get that $2,000. Things are looking great. Now, sure enough, we get all the paper and title is opened. All we have to do is get the seller to show up at the closing table and the buyer to bring the money. Buyer's ready to go. Day of closing comes and the title company calls me and says that the seller has already sold this piece of land to somebody else for half of the amount. So my guess is they had already had a purchase agreement signed with somebody else, and them just not being a person of great character decided to take the higher amount, which was with me, and just kind of snake their other person. And then he found out and forced them to come to closing much sooner, and the whole deal blew up. I probably could have tried to get a lawyer or whatever, but this guy didn't have anything. He was living in a tent on the piece of land and had more payments and liens and everything than he could deal with. So there was really no point. And just like that. So I had it under contract for 60. I was going to give it to this new investor for 90. So I was literally going to make $30,000 just from a phone call, but the whole thing blew up. But that's the name of the game. And you just pick up the phone again and you keep going. But this is called real estate wholesaling. Just to summarize, you find an off market or even an on market. When there's realtors involved, they got to get paid too, and it's a little more tricky. But you find a property at a discount, you put it under contract, you assign the rights to buy that contract to somebody else. You get the difference between what you have it under contract for and what you gave it to that investor for. All that paper goes to the title company. The money changes hands. You get what's called your assignment fee, and you rinse and repeat. And there's people that have made millions and millions and millions of dollars every single year doing this. There's multiple strategies and different ways to do this. There's 1,005 courses out there. Everybody and their mom has a wholesaling course. It's really not that complicated, but it takes a lot of work. And I would say my hourly rate right now, based on my time for how much I earn, is much higher as an airline pilot. So I've dropped the ball on that, but I would eventually maybe consider getting into not necessarily cold calling again, but some sort of marketing to find deals. But in any case, that's all I got for you today. I appreciate you watching this video. As you can see, this channel is very small. So if you want to become one of the elite 11 subscribers that are currently here in the founding weeks and days of this channel, there's a video every single day, 7 a.m. is going up. And I would really appreciate a subscription and like button and comment and tell me if you've ever heard of real estate wholesaling. Do you think it's a scam? Do you think it's ethical? There's some controversy out there. Maybe, I don't know. But if you want more content like this on a more personal level, we do live calls inside of my school community. The link is in the description. I have my buddy Justin Canberra, who comes on, high net worth individual, gives high level advice. I'll do a finance review call with you. It's a free call. Well, I'll just point you in the right direction, tell you anything I can contribute to your situation, whether that's where to start getting your finances in track, paying down debt. What do you do first? Should you be investing? What's an HSA card? Do you invest in real estate? What is real estate wholesaling? How do you set up a budget? A bunch of free resources in there. And I'd be happy to help out in any way I can. The link's in the description. And I better see you in the next video.